Now, Putin's Oreshnik missile has got Europe in the crosshairs. Now, President Emmanuel Macron has warned that France is within range, with just minutes as a buffer for it to react. European capitals are now scrambling to match Russia's strike power. In fact, the French president has urged his European partners that they urgently need to acquire hypersonic missiles. Our next story tells you more.
Paris is worried. A new Russian missile has rattled Europe's nerve center. President Macron is warning France could be minutes away from impact. Russia's new generation Oreshnik missile is sending shock waves through European capitals, and Paris is on the edge. French President Emmanuel Macron has warned that the missile has the range and the speed to strike France, forcing Europe to confront a brutal reality. Its skies may not be safe. Russia's Oreshnik is a high-speed maneuverable missile designed to overwhelm air defenses. Analysts say it can travel at hypersonic speeds, sharply reducing reaction time. From launch points inside Russia or Allied territory, the missile could reach Paris in minutes, leaving little room for interception. Oreshnik flies at speeds of 12,300 km per hour. It is stealthy and maneuverable, making it almost unstoppable. The massive range of over 5,000 km puts several European capitals in its range. This missile can reach London or Paris less than 10 minutes when launched from Belarus. France is now urgently pushing Britain and Germany to jointly develop new missile defense systems capable of shooting down Oreshnik. The message from Paris is clear. Europe cannot rely indefinitely on American systems. It must build its own shield. NATO relies heavily on US-built systems such as Patriot and Aegis Ashore. Germany is leading the European Sky Shield initiative, which includes Patriot, Israel's Arrow systems, and short-range defenses like Iris-T. These systems are effective against aircraft and some ballistic missiles, but hypersonic threats are a different beast. Oreshnik is designed to exploit those gaps. Its speed, low flight profile, and evasive maneuvers make interception far more complex. European officials fear that existing radars may detect it too late and current interceptors may not be fast enough. The warning from Paris is not about tomorrow's war. It is about preparedness, because in modern warfare, minutes matter, and in the age of hypersonic missiles, geography offers no comfort. For Europe, Oreshnik has changed the equation from distant threat to immediate danger. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
All right, now to try and put this in perspective, we're joined on this broadcast by Ms. Anne Elizabeth Mute. She's a columnist for the London Telegraph, specialises in international affairs. Ms. Mute, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. Now, this statement by Emmanuel Macron that probably Europe also needs to have something akin to the Russian Oreshnik. Is this a realization by the European leaders that they may not have the support of the Americans as they had in the last 7 decades, and Europe is now effectively on its own to deal with the Russian challenge?
Well, I would say it's the possibility that Europe is on its own. Right now, Europe and the United States are partner with NATO, and therefore nothing has been said formally cancelling any kind of NATO agreement. There has been noise and chatter in Washington, but that is the way the Trump administration, and especially Donald Trump, operate. There's a fog of contradictory decisions and statements that are undiplomatic on purpose. It's completely calculated. And for a long time, I mean, think President Obama said the same thing. President Biden said the same thing. Europe was not spending enough on defense. The fact that Emmanuel Macron talked about this and specifically took the instance of the Oreshnik missile, which of course he knew about because French intelligence knows about, because NATO intelligence knows about the missile, it's not new. But he was dramatizing the situation on the occasion of the traditional New Year wishes to various bodies of the French state, and that day it was the French military. So he was talking to the military saying, we must spend more on you, we must spend more on hardware, we have understood what you stand for. It was probably something that went down well with the military, but it's also something that aims to, I won't say yet mobilize because it's such a difficult word, but certainly to make the French aware that if we are standing on our own, we have to do something which is, considering that Europe is actually a larger bloc with a larger GDP and more population than America, that we have to be able to defend ourselves.
Interesting. You say that Europe believes that it may not have the American backing. But looking at what has happened in the context of Greenland, where the American president has clearly set his eyes on what is effectively European territory, the United States of America, the leader of the NATO military alliance, is appearing to be a bit of a security challenge for the Europeans themselves, because France is sending some troops, Germany and other nations are also sending troops to Denmark for the defense of Greenland. How do you see this equation going forth? Is this a moment where Europe is facing a crisis of leadership, which is making both the United States and probably Russia put forth threats in this manner?
I would say, first of all, I don't think the rationale in Russia and the rationale in America is the same. Second, I still believe that, as opposed to some other crises, I think there's a great deal of theater, kabuki going on in Greenland. I do not see America invading Greenland. Certainly America wants to be in a good negotiating position, and Donald Trump is well known for having the completely unorthodox way of negotiation, which is sort of essentially what the political commentator, Australian, once said about British politics. He said, you know, it's the dead cat on the table, as everybody's talking about things and being very reasonable, and somebody comes in and slams the dead cat on the table, and everybody talks about the dead cat, and definitely Greenland is the dead cat because the conversation has been changed. But I think that in the case of Greenland, I actually think this is much more a negotiating technique in order to get American rights to both rare earths and the position in the Arctic Circle. That is threatened by Russia. That's a really important thing. America already has a base in Greenland. This is something that will end up with a negotiation. I do not think that the handful of European soldiers, I mean, we're talking about a few dozen maximum, all of them, it's just symbolic on both sides.
All right, interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Mute, for joining us with that perspective then.